Okay, so recently I've been watching some Barbie movies, and we all love Barbie movies, okay? If you were a girly from the early 2000s, you know of just about every single Barbie movie there is.
36, counted them myself. 36!
However, a lot of the older ones are more nostalgia. There's quite a few newer quote-unquote ones that are still nostalgic to most. And this video, the title might be a little bit of a shocker to you, because, how could one person hate Barbie movies? There are some that I just don't like, and some that make me extremely angry. So I made a list of 7 movies that I don't really like. Some of them I added to the list that were kind of ones that I hadn't watched in a long time, and I just assumed that I didn't care for them. And I rewatched some of them. They still made it on this list, because they're still not, like, amazing Barbie movies. Like, classic Barbie movies like Princess and the Pauper, and Swan Lake, and then Nutcracker, all those good movies. Anyway, so I decided to make a tier list for these as well, to rank them in a little bit of a tier list. I didn't plan to rank them, I just planned to make a list of several movies I hated. And originally this video was going to be just talking about them individually, but then I started to make a little bit of a list and decided I could just talk about them all in one movie and keep it somewhat brief. I also am very aware that some of these movies, this is just my opinion. Clearly, this is just my opinion. I recently watched a video by a person named Melody Moon. This person had made a video about why the movie Fashion Fairy Tale was their favorite movie, or was the best Barbie movie, and yeah, I disagree very much. I also want to make it very aware that these movies also were movies I watched when I was younger, and I enjoyed them. Not all of them. I think there's 1 or 2 on here that I didn't really watch as much as a kid, but I recently watched in recent years and decided that I don't like them. But there's quite a few of these on here were ones that I did watch as a kid. Maybe not as frequently as the other ones, because otherwise I think I would have liked them more if I watched them more, but some of these movies are just straight up, even as a kid, I hated these movies. Even though, I would watch them, I'd be like, oh, wait, this doesn't make any sense, though. So, yeah, let's just get right into it. So, first movie on our list is Barbie Fashion Fairy Tale. I was dreading rewatching this movie. I didn't want to. I got halfway in and then realized I can just skip watching this one because I literally just can't take this movie. I put this movie in D tier, by the way. So let's just get into the things I don't like. I'm not going to go over a full summary of these movies. I tried not to make my notes like that, but some of them kind of are longer than others. But here I'm just going to be talking about things I don't like about this movie. This movie just doesn't connect to me, and it makes no sense. None of this movie makes any sense. The logic, the lore is really bad. And okay, let's just get into it, I guess. So the beginning is really interesting. So we have Barbie playing as Barbie in this movie. She's not a specific character, she is Barbie. And what doesn't make sense to me is how Barbie is an actress in all these other past Barbie movies. And in this movie, she's performing Princess and the Pea, which we never end up seeing, thank gosh, because this movie looks terrible. And I don't know if Barbie could actually pull off Princess and the Pea. Does Barbie know that she's in a movie right now? She's playing in a movie. Well, she's acting in a movie while she's acting in a movie. How does that make sense? Now, it's never brought up this much in other Barbie movies where she plays as Barbie and not as other characters. And later on in the movie, she makes references to oh, I remember when I was in Three Musketeers and we did this thing, and she makes all these references to past Barbie movies, and it's but Barbie, you're in a you're in a movie right now, and there's like fairies and stuff. So where does it all end? Is my question. While I'm still talking about the beginning here, there's this line where Barbie and her director or whatever get into this argument, or I don't know if he's a director or a manager. I'm guessing director. And she gets into this argument with her, and he says this.
You know that flapping thing you were doing with your mouth just then?
You mean expressing my opinion?
Yeah, that. No more of that.
We'll talk later on about more memes that come from this movie, because there's quite a few memes that come from this one. If you know what I'm talking about. Let's talk about the Flaries. Alright, so the Flaries are the dumbest thing I have ever seen in a Barbie movie. They're the dumbest thing since those little pixie fairies from Princess and the Popstar. Those are the second dumbest thing I've ever seen. We'll get to those later, because we'll be talking about Princess and the Popstar and my relationship with that movie, because it's a weird one. Anyway, so their sole purpose in life, their main power, they have no other powers as we know of, other than putting glitter on objects. Or people, we don't know. Not much is given about these fairies' lore. Oh, sorry.
Oh, brother.
They make it very clear to you they are fairies because they don't have wings. My thing is maybe they just didn't want to animate wings. I don't know. I don't know why they had to call them fairies. I don't know why they had to be different. They could have easily just made them fairies, but they just had to make it special. And their logic just makes little to no sense. Anyway, their sole purpose is to put glitter on shit, and they can only do this with things that inspire them. They don't make things more pretty, they just cover it in glitter. Like, they can't change what something looks like, they just put it in glitter. They also live in this wardrobe thing. Like, that's just their home, is a little closet that ended up getting walled off. One thing I forgot is they can only put glitter on things that inspires them. I might have said that, but it's a huge plot point, because if something doesn't inspire them, then their magic is like unstable, and if they put like their magic on a dress, it like, I forget what it does, I forgot this part, but it does something like the opposite of covering it glitter. It like just turns the dress smelly or something. I don't know, it makes it like undesirable because their magic is I'm just gonna move on. So the dresses that the girls make are honestly gorgeous. They are really, really pretty dresses. I love the short dress that we first get introduced to. Another example, my favorite dress that they make is a blue, long ball gown dress. It's so beautiful. But when they cover it in glitter, in my opinion, it ruins it, okay? Covering these dresses that are just fine without the glitter is fine. Maybe just like a little bit of glitter is fine, but like, covering the entire dress in glitter does not make it prettier, in my opinion. Listen, I love glitter. I could cover I love covering stuff in glitter and rhinestones and sparkles. I love it, okay? I'm here for all of it. I've always been, if it's pink and it's covered in glitter, I love it. But I love with a short dress, the small, like, pink short dress. The thing I love is this woman, their first customer, comes in, sees this dress, and of course is probably blinded by it. Like, of course it got her attention. It's covered in fucking glitter. So she puts it on, tries it on, and says, "Great, I'll buy it," and walks out of the store with the dress on. Who does that? Also, where are her clothes that she had on before? Apparently she was carrying like a tiny little bag. Like, there's no way her clothes fit in that tiny little bag of hers. No. Like, she just... Is she a fairy? Maybe she is a fairy. I do want to say that the villains in this movie kind of slay, and I do like the villains. Their fashion is supposed to be, like, not good, but honestly, I think their fashion is just as good as everyone else's fashion. Like, their fashion is actually kind of a slay. Like, It's really interesting, and I love it. It's different. So before we end with this movie, let's talk about the Ken B plot, because this is, to me, what ruins the movie. There is this stupid B plot with Ken. He's chasing after Barbie because blah blah blah. Raquel, Barbie's mean-ish friend Raquel, made Ken seem like he broke up with Barbie, and that's what gets Barbie to go to Paris in the first place, because she needs to get away from Ken and clear her mind, and Ken's trying to chase after her and fix this and explain everything. However, he's kind of doing the whole planes, trains, and automobiles kind of thing, where he's just on every form of transportation to get to Barbie, and everything keeps failing. He keeps missing trains and has to ride in the truck with a pig farmer from Pittsburgh, which is really funny. Yay, Pennsylvania representation in a Barbie movie. Anyway, so I will say, the one meme where Ken is on the plane.
Yes. No! No! Oh, I'm so sorry. No.
Honestly, that scene is hilarious and it's really funny. But I think it's only funny because it's been memed of so many times. There's one more thing I'd like to talk about that I forgot in the original recording, and that's there's this lady at the beginning, during the whole Barbie acting scene. There's another actress there, and they literally just used the same model from the villain from Barbie Island Princess. They just changed her hair up and changed her dress to green. I don't know, I just wanted to point this out. Oh, and then at the end of the movie, there's, we literally get introduced to a character that shows up in another movie. Like, this isn't like they use the same model, like, this is the same character. I forget what her name was, like Lillian or Roxelle, or I don't fucking know. I don't remember her name, but she shows up in Fairy Secret as a character, but she was like at the fashion show at the very end. And so yeah, apparently this is Barbie's friend, who's apparently a fairy. We'll get into it later. But for now, let's just get into the next movie. Princess and the Pop Star is a movie that I genuinely don't hate that much. But I see, the thing is, okay, let me back up a little bit. Let me explain. I don't like this movie, but I hate it so much that I love it. Okay, I don't know how that makes sense, but I've rewatched this movie a lot, and every time I watch it, I hate it so much I love it. Like, I love it so much that I hate it. I don't know how to explain this weird relationship I have with this movie. Clearly, it is ripping off Princess and the Pauper, and it tries to be Princess and the Pauper. It recreates some of the music from the original, but it's nowhere near Princess and the Pauper at all. The reason why I do love it so much is because of nostalgia. I watched this movie a lot, and I really just enjoyed this movie as a kid. Like, I watched it a lot, and even now I still rewatch it every once in a while. Let's get into it. So, the kingdom's name is Marabella, which is kind of funny because that's the same name as the queen from Mariposa.
Ariana, what are you doing here?
They like to reuse names quite a bit. Their name making for cities and people is not great. Listen, some songs are good, some songs are bad. Okay? I think it's the opening song. Yeah, the opening song is amazing. Like I said, some of this music is phenomenal, but most of the music is not great. Opening song, great. However, right, like in between the first song, they are doing a riff on Girls Just Wanna Have Fun by Cyndi Lauper. I might have pronounced that name wrong. Instead, they make it Princesses Just Wanna Have Fun, which doesn't work, in my opinion. They also did a riff on To Be a Princess from the original movie. And again, obviously they make it super pop star and pop star-ish, but they just changed the lyrics. It's not good. It's not great in my opinion. Let's talk about how the two girls swap lives. So, as a reminder, in Princess and the Pauper, the two girls, Erica and Annalise, they swap places because they have to, in a sense. Like, when it comes to Annalise, she isn't really like, I don't know, the way she is put into the Pauper's position is purely by, like, accident because, Madam What's-Her-Face confuses her for Erica and makes her work for her because she just looks like her, even though she doesn't have brown hair. See, that's the one thing that always confused me about Princess and the Pauper. I'm ranting right now, but I don't care. So, one thing that always bothered me about Princess and the Pauper, in this scene, when she gets taken by, Madam Carp, she's just like, oh, Erica, get into my shop and start working. But she's like, I'm not Erica, I have blonde hair. Like, I'm wearing a princess's dress. Who do you think I am? Clearly not a poor pauper. Anyway, they do it because they kind of have to, alright? It's just it works so well. In Princess and the Popstar, they swap places because they want to. Because they just want to. That's why. And because these two girls
Are spoiled goddamn brats. They are brats.
and I hate both of them. Like, how am I supposed to root for either of them when they're just spoiled? And they don't care. So Tori, our main character Tori, she's the princess. Her dilemma throughout the entire movie is that she does not want to write a speech.
I'm returning to our guests, and since you refuse to take your duties seriously, you can just stay in your room all night and write that speech.
But Aunt Amelia!
Not another word!
I am sorry. Good night, Auntie. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, 500 years ago, our kingdom began its rule and... Insert speech here.
Tori, have you ever heard of ChatGPT? Oh my gosh! She's a princess that doesn't want to write a speech. She doesn't want to do her princess duties anymore, and she is a huge fan of Kira, the pop star. Let's talk about Kira. So Kira, the pop star, doesn't want to write new music for her producers and managers. Now, I will say, the only sympathy I have for Kira is that, like, her producer kind of sucks, and he's kind of a jerk to her, the Kreider guy, whatever his name is. He kind of sucks, and he's, like, very, like, I don't know. He's just a bad guy. He's literally the bad guy of the movie. But he's just very pushy and does not treat Kira very well. Now, I will say that, like, I do like that is something that they bring up in this movie, because that's kind of how the music industry goes, is, you know, mistreatment in the music industry. But that's not what we're here to talk about. So, one thing that this movie introduces that makes me very upset. This movie decides to introduce magic. Now, would you believe me if I told you that Princess and the Pauper contains no magic? There is no magic whatsoever in Princess and the Pauper. There's no fairies, there's no unicorns, and there is no Queen of England. This movie decides to introduce magic that has dumb lore and unexplained logic. Tori has a magic brush and a heart necklace. Now, Kira has a magic microphone and a star necklace. The necklaces aren't really anything to do with magic, but I pointed that out because the purpose of the necklaces is so that the little girls watching this movie can tell who is who when they're swapped, because otherwise they're basically identical when they swap places. Speaking of magic, the royal family has a giant plant that grows diamonds. I don't know if you heard me right. It grows diamonds. A plant that grows diamonds. You'll see why this angers me so much. And yes, it's a plot point to this movie. So this royal family has this plant that grows diamonds and keeps it secret and hidden in a secret greenhouse / garden that have magical tiny fairies that protect it. Like, why did we just have fairies in this movie? The fairies don't have any plot purpose in this movie. The fairies have nothing to do with this movie other than just protecting this goddamn flower.
It blooms just once every 5 years. Its diamonds help pay for schools and, stuff.
We find out that the people of the kingdom are struggling and poor because of a drought. Tori, dressed as Kira, meets a poor girl saying that she can't afford tickets to go see Kira's shows. Now, nothing is done to fix these problems. Tori doesn't really do anything to fix this, aside from reading her stupid speech that she couldn't be bothered to write. She literally had / wanted Kira to write it for her. Like, I'm telling you, these girls are spoiled! Oh, okay, so when it comes to the drought, I get there's not much you can do about a drought, but the least you can do as a royal family is, I don't know, donate some of those goddamn diamonds of yours that you're storing for yourselves and give them to the fucking people! Like, you have a plant that grows diamonds and you couldn't be bothered to help your poor citizens? These people are terrible. Let's talk about the villain of the movie. Let's talk about the villain of this movie. He's definitely not as much as a threat as Preminger was from Princess and the Pauper. And he's clearly not as iconic as Preminger, because nothing will ever beat Preminger, okay? Nothing ever will beat Preminger. However, this guy's kind of funny. His voice annoys me a lot. His voice irritates me so much. But his motivations are that he was a kid actor and got rejected. And that's his motivations. So yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I like his sidekick. He reminds me a lot of Goomer from Sam and Cat. I forgot why, but he ends up stealing this gardenia plant. And it starts killing all the greenery around the kingdom. This is not explained. How this plant has like a life form connected to all the other plants doesn't really get explained. It's the only, I think the only reason for this is to kind of move the plot along, because for Tori to know that this is happening, Tori is currently performing on stage as Kira. We'll explain that in a second. She's performing as she's performing as Kira. Oh my gosh. Tori is performing as Kira on stage. And when she's like singing, she sees all these plants around her like dying and around the castle that are dying. And she's like, oh, I need to go save the gardenia. And then she just runs off stage. So this is the climax of the movie. And Kira and Tori are in a situation where they both are swapped and they can't switch back. And they need to. Tori, as Kira, before she gets on stage, she locks herself in a trailer because she has to perform, but she has stage fright, and she can't find her phone. Her dog, or Kira's dog, I should say, is trying to get her attention, but she just doesn't listen to him. Meanwhile, Kira, dressed as Tori, in her situation, is that she gets locked in a room forcefully by her aunt, or whatever, by Tori's aunt, and her dog is trying to get her attention to find a secret door She's like scratching at the walls, trying to show her the secret door, and she's again not paying attention. So they end up saving the gardenia plant by regrowing the plant with these 2 little diamonds that they plucked off of it earlier. Again, the magic of this plant is not explained. Not explained at all. But they can just regrow the plant with the diamonds, because I guess the diamonds are seeds in this case. To end with this, Princess and the Pauper is a much better movie. Never watch this movie. They have a real reason to swap, even though they don't really like swap lives. They, like I said, they kind of, I've already explained this, but just stick to Princess and the Pauper for now. Anyway, I give this movie, honestly, as much as I hated on it, I give this movie an A tier, mostly because of nostalgia, okay? I give this movie an A tier, mostly because I can still rewatch it, even if it makes me angry. But in some cases, I like this movie making me angry, because I like screaming at the screen when I watch this movie. So, this next movie is the sequel to Barbie Mariposa. Now, I'm not putting Mariposa on this list because as much as I don't absolutely love Mariposa, Mariposa isn't one of my favorite Barbie movies, but it's not bad enough to add to this list. So, we're here to talk about the sequel, Barbie Mariposa and the Fairy Princess. Now, this movie could technically be called Barbie and the Crystal Fairy Princess, which would make more sense, but that's too long of a title, so I see why they just called it the Fairy Princess. I wouldn't say this movie is bad. It's just abysmal. It's definitely not at the very bottom of this list, because I ended up putting this movie in B tier. It's in B tier. However, I don't like this movie. I will say I'd be willing to watch this movie, even though I dread watching it. But one thing that really bothers me is that there's a lot of changes from the first movie to the second movie. Not only does the animation change a lot, but the main voice actress of Mariposa changes drastically. So in the original Mariposa movie, the voice actress, she's the same voice actress who plays as Nori in Mermaidia, as well as other miscellaneous characters throughout the movies. Now I see why they made her play this character in the first one. In the second one, she plays as Kelly Sheridan, who normally plays Barbie most of the time. Not all the times, but she plays Barbie quite frequently. She's the OG Barbie, voice actress who plays Alina. I see why they did this, because in the first Mariposa movie, we learn that Mariposa takes place in the Fairytopia universe, and it starts off with Alina from Fairytopia telling the story of Mariposa. So I can see why they did this, because there's not confusion between Alina and Mariposa. Having them be the same voice actors, I think, would be a little confusing. In the second movie, they completely forget about Fairytopia completely. However, I'm going to be talking a lot about some theories I have in this movie. We're going to get into theories because I can. Because I have a whole PowerPoint full of Fairytopia lore and theories and just information that I have to talk about. So I'm going to show them here. In this first Mariposa movie, which we're not talking about, but we are now, we learn that Alina and Mariposa know each other. And Mariposa, the land she lives in, is described as a far-off realm. That's a little confusing, but we'll get into that. How do they know each other, and how did they meet? These questions are never answered. I'm not gonna get too much into this Flutterfield lore and how it fits into Fairytopia and figuring out the map of Fairytopia. But we just know that somehow it's connected to Fairytopia, but it's a cut off from the rest. But we know Flutterfield is cut off from the rest of Fairytopia. It's also close to Shimmervale and a Crystal City, which is not to be confused with the Crystal Palace. We'll also get into that as well. So, the plot is just about fairy racism.
Today's subject, slavery.
Fairies being racist towards other fairies because of misinformation and rumors. Now, I will say that's not a bad story to tell, especially for Barbie. It makes a lot of sense for Barbie to be telling this kind of story to, be friends and be nice towards each other, and rumors and misinformation is bad. So Mariposa reads about these crystal fairies and plans to bring their kingdoms together because they hate each other so much. Every second she is in the Crystal Kingdom, called Shimmervale, which is low-key kind of looks like the Crystal Palace, in my opinion. I'm going to show my other slide here. To me, Shimmervale might actually be the Crystal Palace from Fairytopia, but we don't know. I just have very little evidence for this other than the fact that they kind of look similar. They have a similar concept. Anyway, back to the movie. Mariposa is treated so poorly and made fun of her wings every goddamn second. But she doesn't give up. She befriends the princess, who is slightly mysterious. Katiana, the princess,
who I realize now that I've been saying her name wrong this entire time, so just ignore that.
Shows Mariposa a crystal full of caves. A crystal full of caves? My gosh, I can't talk today. A cave full of crystals. And later she gives one of these crystals to her because, I don't know, these crystals are important to these crystal fairies. But she gives one to her as a gift from the princess. But later on, people believe that she stole it. Nice. So we learn that Katiana doesn't fly. And it's not because she was hurt or she's disabled in any sort of way. But she doesn't fly out of fear. She rides around on a Pegasus. And we learn all this information through one of the longest and most annoying cutscenes I have ever seen in my life. Young Katiana is the most annoying little girl I have ever heard. Okay? And the villain in this movie called the Gwillian, not just Gwillian, she is called the Gwillian. And she has this dumbass, annoying-ass sidekick. He's this, like, little bat dude, and he's got, like, this surfer voice, and it's just really annoying. I don't really remember why, but she attacks Katiana and her father, and they're, like, pushed off a cliff, or, like, a waterfall, and she, like, was in, like, she tried to save her dad or something? I don't know. It just scared her into flying, so she hasn't flown since that moment. In the end of the movie, Gwillian attacks again because she wants the crystals that they use, and she's trying to steal the big crystal that is like their main source of energy for these crystals and just everyday life. And she's like attacking, putting darkness into this crystal, and they have to save it. And later we find out that the Gwillian was just some random lady that somehow became an old cranky lady. We don't know why, but we find out that the Gwillian was just some random lady. So I pointed out in my notes, this movie kind of reminds me of Suitor Armor. We will be talking about Suitor Armor soon, hopefully. I need to get through editing this in recording this. There's just parts of this movie that remind me of Suitor Armor. Mostly because of, like, the fairies and the fairy racism, and obviously because Mariposa is this big butterfly fairy, and she has, like, big butterfly wings, I guess. This scene at the, like, towards the end, where they're at this ball, and she puts her wings down into her dress. Like, her wings become part of her dress. She does this quite a bit throughout the movie, but mostly in this scene, she does it, like, as, like, a fashion statement, which I know why they did this, because of, like, they wanted to make it a cool gimmick for the doll, and her, you know, princess friend joins her on this. However, I don't know how that works. Like, the way the wings attach to the dress, like, it looks like they become part of the dress when she puts them down, so it just doesn't look right. Like, that wouldn't make any sense in my opinion. And also the physics don't make any sense either. So at times when she does this, her wings tend to bounce up and spring up like they're stiff after being held down for so long. But when she's dancing, the wings flow around like it's fabric that's a part of the dress. I don't know, it's just really weird.
See? What'd I tell ya? Made for each other.
Knows your MFEO.
We are not MFEO?
Made for each other.
We do this in Flutterfield too, only we call it befluttering.
Pussy, pussy, pussy,
Real quick, before I end this segment, I want to talk about some more theories that I have about this movie. Hello internet, welcome to Barbie Theory. I have a theory that King Regalius and Queen Marabella are lovers, and they might be the children to the Princess Katiana and the other dude, I forget his name. Why can't I find his name? Where is he? Carlos. Prince Carlos and Princess Katiana are siblings. Because of this flashback scene, we find out that King Regalius had brown hair, like dark brown hair. Who else has dark brown hair and dark eyes? Prince Carlos. We also get a look at his wings as well. So his wings are very, like, pointy because they're different because they're crystal fairies. So they're, like, more pointy and ish. Oh wait, who else has pointy, kind of swirly wings? Carlos does. His mother is a butterfly fairy, but yet he looks nothing like a butterfly fairy. So, let's look at Queen Marabella. Queen Marabella has blonde hair and blue eyes. And of course, she's a butterfly fairy. Who else has blonde hair and blue eyes? Princess Katiana. Now, Princess Katiana, even though she doesn't have butterfly wings, in my opinion, her wings look almost like a butterfly. They are pretty different than the other crystal fairy wings we see. Carlos has straight brown hair and grayish-green eyes with wings that are a very genetic type. Thin and most non-translucent, swirly and pointy. Katiana has light blonde curly hair and an updo and blue eyes. Her wings are more butterfly-like, but still very crystal fairy-like. This is my main evidence, okay? Princess Katiana's mother is never mentioned. Or, like, almost never mentioned. Prince Carlos's father is almost never mentioned. One thing that is also interesting is Queen Marabella and Prince Carlos both have Spanish accents. And clearly Carlos and Marabella are kind of Spanish-ish names, and of course Mariposa is literally just butterfly in Spanish. So anyway, that's all I have to say about that movie. I'm gonna move on to the next one.